Hey guys, today let's talk about riding the tube. Is it good or is it bad? We'll also talk about floating the needle and a variation of both. So if you're interested in any of that, let's go. So here's the fake skin that I'm going to be using. Honestly, this is probably some of the worst fake skin you could probably buy. And that's probably why I still have it laying around for so long. And I put a couple pieces of paper towel under there so it gives a little bit more of a softer texture. The needle we're using today is a 9-round liner from Cheyenne. So there's a few ways. We're gonna start off by riding the tube. The traditional riding the tube method, I'm just gonna start by making a line here, okay? Okay, so there's the line we made riding the tube, right? I just set it on there, ran across. I don't know if you can see it there, but that is the depth of our needle right now. This is the needle depth that I'm running in this ride the tube method, okay? So that's your first method. And when you hit the skin, this ink is gonna pool up. Okay, I'll show you that right now. See that? As soon as I touched it, the ink pooled right up. So that's the downside to riding the tube. And admittedly, we could probably even go a touch deeper. Nonetheless, that's what's gonna happen when you ride your tube. You're gonna get immediate ink pool out. You're not really gonna be able to see what you're doing. Your accuracy is gonna be low. However, if we throw our needles out a little bit further now and attempt to ride the points, this comes down to knowing how deep into the skin you need to go and trying to keep a consistent, smooth motion, a consistent depth. So here we go. Okay, now what you can tell about this line, there's not a pool of ink following it. As soon as I touch, I don't have a pool of ink coming. I can see my line, I know where I'm going. Assuming there was a stencil here, it would be much easier to see where I'm going. And for doing detail, that is really what you want. You want to be able to see where it is you're going. Which is better, and why do people suggest riding the tips versus riding the tube so much? And that is because in the beginning, riding the tube might actually help you nail a smooth line. But as time goes on and you start tattooing different parts of the body, you'll find that one depth is not always the same for every spot. Now, I believe that there's a third type. You have riding your tips, you have riding the tube, and then you have that right in the middle spot where you have your needles pulled back a little bit further than they would if you were riding your points, and you have it out a little bit further than you would if you were riding the tube. And what that gives you is you can get comfortable knowing I'm going to hover my tube just right over the skin. Throw your needle out, something in between the two. You'll get comfortable with this as time goes on. We're gonna watch the tube, okay? What I'd like to point out is that when I touched down, I didn't get an immediate pool of ink. I could see where I wanted to go. I could see my needles. The most important thing here is if you're getting close to your tube or you're riding the tube, is that you want to make sure that you have positive identification of your needles, your points. Where are they? If you hit here, if you hit the skin and it spools ink out and you can't see anything, you're just running in that black line, that can be a problem. That makes for not the greatest accuracy. So if you are struggling to ride these points with your needle thrown out pretty far, but you don't want to ride the tube because you don't want to get that ink splotch that you get when you do that, try something a little bit in the middle of both. And that's what this line essentially did here. Okay, we'll do that one more time here. I'm not going to go straight in and pool up a bunch of ink and run down and be somewhat blind. I'm going to find that middle point. Now I see where my tube's at. I'm just gonna look at that needle. Okay? And that's pretty much what you're trying to do, is you're trying to just hover that right above the skin. Now, if you had something super detailed, little script or something small, fine detailed, you're gonna wanna throw your needles out. Is there a time for just riding the tube, just straight up riding the tube? And I do believe there is. If you're running a long line, you're doing some sort of mandala, anything of that sort, or just anything that has a lot of lines, long lines, right? Riding the tube can be nice for those. Now, accuracy might go down a little bit, but if you're running a fat liner and a really long line and accuracy is not the most important thing, then yes, riding the tube can really help you get a consistent long line. And then switching after the long lines, throwing your needle out a little bit more to do detail. You have a lot of options. I don't believe that you should always ride the needle, always ride the tube. I think that as you develop, you'll find what works for you. And all of these work for me. I do all three of them all the time. If you stuck around to the end, thank you. I hope you learned something. And these are just the 3 techniques that most people use. I really do. I use all 3. It just depends on what tattoo I'm doing, what the job requires, and that will dictate what I use. And remember, if you enjoy any of this content, go ahead and hit the like button, subscribe, and ring the bell so you get notifications when I post. Until next time, guys. Peace.